Y'all know I'm just a comedian. I just be laughing to laugh. Y'all gotta learn how to laugh. I don't mean no harm. Okay? I've been practicing being a comedian for the last 5 years, okay? That's what I've been practicing. That's all I'm on. But what I will say is, no offense. At this point, just tattoo Blueface on your ass, okay? I would have just tattooed, that's an easy spell. I would have tattooed Blueface on me first, honey. They should have just got a tattoo to say Blueface. I mean, because it could get a little tricky, but I mean, if you talk to me, his mom, I just talked to her yesterday. That's why I'm so mad, because I would have told her how to spell it. I would have told her. Girl, I would have said, go read John 3:16, and that's how you spell my baby name. His granddaddy, that's his granddaddy name, that's his daddy name. It's a family tree. A good thing she didn't around and had no baby and spell it like that. Now imagine that. She have a baby and spell the shit wrong. Y'all gotta slow down a little bit and always talk to your man mama. Okay? Even if you don't with her, you talk to the man mama. That's the last person you want to be not talking to. Because I would have told her how to spell it. I would have said Jonathon. I would have said, you spell it Jon. I would have spelled it just like she spelled it. I'm just kidding. I would have told her how to spell it right. Because I wouldn't want her to have no baby and not, you know what I'm saying, not know how to spell it.
Ladies and gentlemen, put the spell check down because this tattoo drama didn't just misspell a name, it misspelled reality. One neck tattoo. One wrong word. And suddenly Blueface's mom Karlissa turned into the internet's most unfiltered English teacher with a microphone and no mercy. This wasn't a quiet side comment. This wasn't shade. This was a public roast wrapped in sarcasm, judgment, and that very specific I warned y'all energy only a mother can deliver. The kind that doesn't need insults because disappointment does all the work. And once Karlissa spoke, the internet leaned forward like it smelled blood in the water. Because how do you permanently ink a man's name on your neck and spell it wrong? That question detonated timelines instantly. Screenshots flew, memes multiplied, and fans weren't just laughing, they were gasping. Because this wasn't just about a tattoo. It was about loyalty gone left, decisions made too fast, and a family that never misses a chance to comment when chaos knocks. This makes reality TV look like homework hour. Karlissa didn't just roast. Nevaeh, she lit the whole situation up like a group chat with no screenshots deleted. And once the internet realized this was only the opening jab, it became clear. This wasn't about ink. This was about humiliation with a Wi-Fi connection. The moment this blew up, it didn't feel like regular internet mess. It felt surgical. One tattoo photo, one tiny spelling error, and suddenly the entire situation went from cute loyalty flex to career-ending group chat roast. Because when neck tattoos enter the chat, there's no edit button. And when Blueface's mom Karlissa enters the chat, there's no mercy clause. This wasn't just about ink. It was about timing, optics, and audacity. A fresh relationship. A permanent tattoo. On the neck. With the name spelled wrong. That's not a mistake, that's a lifestyle choice wrapped in confidence and bad decision-making. And the internet smelled blood instantly. Karlissa didn't hesitate. She didn't warm up. She didn't pretend to be neutral. She did what she does best. She spoke like a mother who's been watching chaos long enough to stop whispering. And the way she did it wasn't loud. It was worse. It was calm, controlled, and dripping with "I told y'all." The reaction was immediate. Fans didn't even know where to look first. The tattoo itself, the spelling, Karlissa's commentary, or Nevaeh's silence, which somehow made everything louder. Because silence after a public roast doesn't read as classy online, it reads as shock. And let's be honest, a neck tattoo is already a bold move. A name tattoo is a gamble. A misspelled name tattoo is a viral invitation. Combine all three, and you've basically summoned the internet like Beetlejuice. Karlissa's tone wasn't angry. That's what made it lethal. She sounded amused, observational, like someone watching a slow-motion car crash they warned everyone about but got ignored anyway. And that energy hit harder than yelling ever could. She didn't just roast the spelling. She roasted the decision, the speed, the symbolism, the idea that someone would permanently brand themselves without triple-checking the letters. The subtext was brutal. If you can't spell it, maybe you shouldn't ink it. Fans immediately split into camps. One side laughed uncontrollably. The other side tried to defend Nevaeh, arguing nerves, emotions, and pressure. But the defense didn't land because the internet doesn't care about context when the punchline writes itself. And Karlissa knew that. She didn't need to exaggerate. The situation exaggerated itself. All she did was point at it. And pointing can be more humiliating than mocking, especially when it comes from a mother who's never pretended to approve in the first place. This moment also reopened a familiar wound. Karlissa versus anyone connected to Blueface is never just personal, it's performative. The audience already knows the pattern. She comments, the internet reacts, someone gets embarrassed, and the cycle refreshes itself like a cursed app. But this time felt different because tattoos don't wash off. They don't get deleted. They don't expire after 24 hours. This wasn't a tweet. This was a permanent reminder that loyalty can age poorly if rushed. And Karlissa knew exactly how to frame it. She didn't even have to name Nevaeh directly in some moments. The implication did the work. Fans filled in the blanks with Olympic-level speed. Memes started flying before anyone could clarify anything. Spelling jokes, dictionary jokes, spell check jokes, neck placement jokes. All of it brutal. All of it fast. And Nevaeh. She stayed quiet. That silence was interpreted 1,000 different ways. Some saw embarrassment. Some saw restraint. Others saw shock. But no matter how you slice it, silence after a public roast doesn't protect you. It lets the internet write your response for you. Meanwhile, Karlissa's confidence never wavered. She leaned into the moment like someone who knows the algorithm loves authenticity and chaos in equal measure. Her delivery wasn't rushed. She let the joke breathe. She let the audience sit with it. That's veteran internet behavior. This also reignited the long-running conversation about Blueface's relationships. Fans have watched this man's romantic life unfold like a never-ending reality show pilot that never gets picked up, but somehow never ends. Every new partner becomes a character. Every move becomes content. And Karlissa has never hidden how she feels about that. So when Nevaeh entered the picture with a neck tattoo, the audience already expected commentary. They just didn't expect it to be this clean, this sharp, and this humiliating. The spelling error made it undeniable. There was no angle where this looked good. Even people trying to defend Nevaeh couldn't do it with a straight face. You could hear the hesitation in the comments. The but still. Energy was everywhere. Karlissa didn't pile on repeatedly. That's another thing people missed. She made her point and let the internet finish the job. That's how you know someone understands the ecosystem. You don't need to overdo it when the crowd is already sprinting. What made this sting even more was how it reframed the tattoo. What might have been meant as devotion instantly became a symbol of impulsiveness. Instead of ride or die, it read as rushed and unchecked. And once that label sticks, it's hard to scrub off. This wasn't just a roast. It was a rebranding. And the scariest part, this was only the beginning. Because once family speaks, outsiders feel invited. Once a mother roasts publicly, everyone else feels licensed to laugh louder. The ink hadn't even settled yet. But the damage already had. The situation didn't cool off after Karlissa spoke. It ignited. Because once a mother roasts publicly, the internet treats it like permission. Permission to zoom in. Permission to remix. Permission to turn one spelling error into a full-blown cultural event. Memes didn't trickle in. They flooded. Spell check screenshots. Red underline jokes. Dictionary definitions slapped next to neck photos like courtroom evidence. People weren't even being creative anymore, they were being efficient. The punchline was too easy. And when the internet gets easy laughs, it doesn't stop to ask about feelings. Karlissa didn't chase the moment. She didn't need to. The moment chased her. Every reaction fed the narrative she had already framed. This wasn't loyalty. This was recklessness with confidence. And that framing stuck like ink. Influencers started chiming in sideways. Not direct callouts. Side jokes. Reaction faces. I'm not saying names, but energy everywhere. Everyone wanted to be part of the moment without being responsible for it. That's how you know a story has legs. Nevaeh's silence stretched longer, and the longer it stretched, the louder it became. People interpreted it as embarrassment. Others read it as shock. A few insisted it was strategy. But strategy doesn't play well when the joke is still trending. Silence doesn't pause memes. It invites sequels. Then the conversation took a turn. People stopped just laughing at the spelling and started questioning the decision-making behind it. Why the neck? Why so fast? Why permanent? Why now? And suddenly this wasn't just about letters, it was about impulse, validation, and the pressure to prove loyalty in a relationship that the internet already treats like a competition. Karlissa's commentary gained a second layer here. It wasn't just a roast anymore. It was being read as a warning. The kind parents give when they're done repeating themselves. Fans started saying things like, "She's wrong for saying it, but," which is internet code for "she said what needed to be said." That's when public opinion fractured. One group argued Karlissa crossed the line, that she embarrassed Nevaeh intentionally, that family issues shouldn't be aired out for laughs. Another group argued the opposite, that putting a misspelled name on your neck for a man with a famously messy relationship history was already public business. Both sides were loud. Neither side was kind. Blueface, notably, stayed out of it. And that absence became its own controversy. People wanted a reaction, a defense, a statement, anything, but nothing came. And when the central figure stays silent, everyone else fills the vacuum aggressively. That vacuum turned Nevaeh into a symbol. Not of love, of caution. Suddenly every impulsive tattoo story resurfaced. People shared their own regrets, their own cover-ups, their own "I wish someone had stopped me" moments. The comment sections turned into therapy circles disguised as roast sessions. Karlissa's words kept echoing because she never needed to repeat them. The internet repeated them for her, in different fonts, different jokes, different angles, but always the same point. Some decisions age badly before the bandage even comes off. Then came the backlash. People started pushing back against the cruelty. Backlash. People started pushing back against the cruelty. Saying the jokes went too far. Saying mental health mattered. Saying bullying isn't entertainment. And while those points were valid, they struggled to gain traction against a moment this viral. Because the internet doesn't run on empathy. It runs on momentum. And the momentum was relentless. Nevaeh finally responded indirectly, and even that was risky. Any response was going to get dissected, tone policed, screenshot, reposted out of context. The internet doesn't let people recover quietly once the spotlight is on. Karlissa, meanwhile, didn't escalate. She didn't gloat. She didn't apologize. She simply existed in the aftermath like someone who knew exactly how this would play out. That composure irritated people even more, because nothing on the internet like someone who isn't scrambling. The narrative around Karlissa shifted too. Some praised her for being honest. Others labeled her toxic. But everyone agreed on one thing: she understood how this game works. And understanding the game gives you power, whether people like it or not. As the jokes peaked, the mood started changing again. What began as laughter turned into secondhand embarrassment. People weren't just laughing at the tattoo anymore, they were cringing at how fast things spiraled. That's when the story stopped being funny and started being uncomfortable. Because humiliation has a shelf life, and when it expires, What's left is just the person who has to live with it. The neck tattoo didn't disappear. The screenshots didn't get deleted. And the internet didn't forget. This moment carved itself into the ongoing Blueface saga as another example of how quickly devotion turns into spectacle. And the scariest part, everyone knew this wasn't the last twist, because when family speaks publicly, it changes the temperature forever. It invites commentary. It removes privacy. And it guarantees that whatever comes next will be watched more closely than before. The spelling error was just the spark. The fire was everything it exposed underneath. The fallout didn't crash in all at once. It settled, slowly, awkwardly, like the moment after a joke goes too far and everyone pretends to check their phone so they don't have to make eye contact. The memes slowed down, but the discomfort stuck around. And that's when the real consequences started showing up. Nevaeh didn't just become the girl with the misspelled tattoo. She became a cautionary tale. Not officially. Not intentionally, but culturally. Her name started getting attached to phrases like too fast, no spell check, and why the neck though? And once the internet assigns you a lesson, you don't get to opt out. That's the part people forget. Virality fades. Labels linger. The tattoo, meant to signal loyalty, flipped into a permanent punchline. What was supposed to say devotion now screamed impulse. And no matter how much context people tried to add later, the first impression had already burned itself into public memory. Karlissa's role in the aftermath became even more polarizing. Some viewers started applauding her honesty, calling it tough love and overdue reality. Others doubled down on calling her cruel, invasive, and unnecessarily public. But here's the uncomfortable truth: both sides were right depending on where you stood. That's what made this situation so sticky, because Karlissa didn't invent the embarrassment. She spotlighted it, and spotlighting something already visible doesn't make it disappear. It just forces everyone to look. Blueface's silence continued to loom. The longer he stayed out of it, the more people projected meaning onto that absence. Some assumed he didn't care. Others thought he was avoiding making things worse. Either way, the lack of defense felt loud. In internet culture, silence isn't neutral. It's a narrative vacuum. And that vacuum swallowed Nevaeh whole. Fans started questioning the power dynamics. Why someone would feel pressure to permanently mark themselves so early. Why relationships around Blueface always seem to escalate fast and publicly. And whether this environment encourages grand gestures without pause. Those questions didn't come with answers. But they came with judgment. The tattoo discourse evolved from jokes into analysis. People debated whether public roasting by a partner's parent crosses an ethical line. Whether humiliation disguised as honesty is still harmful. And whether the internet rewards cruelty more than care. Those debates mattered, but they didn't undo the damage. Nevaeh's image took a hit that doesn't show up in follower counts. It showed up in tone, in how people talked about her, in how every future post was read with skepticism instead of goodwill. Once the internet decides you're impulsive, everything you do becomes evidence. That's a hard hole to climb out of. Karlissa, on the other hand, remained exactly who she's always been, unfiltered, unapologetic, fully aware of the cameras. And that consistency is what made her immune to backlash. People might not like her delivery, but they expect it. And expectations protect you online. Nevaeh didn't have that shield. As time passed, the laughter turned into fatigue. People moved on to the next scandal, the next roast, the next viral misstep. But the tattoo didn't move, it stayed. And with it stayed the memory of how quickly affection became entertainment. This moment also reshaped how fans viewed Blueface's orbit. His relationships, once treated like plot twists, started looking like warning signs. The cycle felt repetitive, the outcomes predictable, and the sympathy people once gave freely started drying up. That's the quiet consequence no one announces. The story didn't end with apologies or reconciliations. It ended with distance, with people choosing not to engage as loudly, with a subtle shift from fascination to exhaustion, because there's only so many times you can watch the same pattern play out before it stops being shocking. and starts being sad. And that's where this landed. Not in outrage, not in laughter. In that uncomfortable middle ground where the internet realizes it might have gone too far but doesn't know how to. Rewind, Nevaeh was left to deal with a permanent reminder of a moment the internet treated as disposable. Karlissa walked away having said exactly what she wanted to say. And the audience scrolled on, carrying the lesson without acknowledging it. That's how these stories end now, not with closure, with residue. And the next time someone thinks about making a permanent decision for temporary validation, this moment will quietly resurface. Not loudly, not trending, but remembered, because the internet never forgets, especially when the ink is forever. And now don't just sit there pretending this wasn't wild, because if you made it all the way to the end, you didn't just watch drama, you studied a cautionary tale. Ink was spilled, feelings were roasted, and the internet did what it does best: turned a personal decision into a public spectacle. So do what the algorithm respects: smash that like button like it owes you money and tried to ghost you. Drop a comment and tell me the truth. Was Karlissa out of line, or did she just say what everyone was already thinking but was scared to say out loud? Was this tough love or unnecessary humiliation? I want the real takes, not the safe ones. And don't play shy. Subscribe to Fame Flaws right now. Because over here, scandals don't get sugar-coated, and chaos doesn't get treated like coincidence. Fame Flaws breaks down celebrity mess the way it actually happens: loud, messy, impulsive, and permanent. Turn on notifications so you're never late to the next meltdown pretending you just heard about it. These stories don't come with warnings, and they definitely don't come with spell check. This isn't gossip. This is pop culture with consequences. You're watching Fame FLAWS, where loyalty gets questioned, decisions get exposed, and the internet always reads the fine print after the damage is done.